Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Uncle Yeow and the Singapore Story. Now, I've just collected my Lee Kuan Yew 100th anniversary coins. All right. So, you have not collected, you should start to go and collect your souvenir coins now. Now, these are all $10 legal tender, which means that you can use it, and the amount is actually $10 a coin. However, I would encourage you to keep these collectibles. Why? Because I've already seen a lot on Lazada and Shopee where they're actually selling it for $25 to $60 a piece. So if you keep it over time, the value will grow. So this is a very good collectible item that you should treasure and keep. Okay. Now today's topic, what are we going to discuss about? Well, I think it's important and timely to talk about how did Singapore beat the odds, overcome the challenges, and turn our disadvantages into advantages. So this is today's topic. All right. Now, Singapore. For so many years, Singapore has been land scarce. What does it mean? Well, it means that we are a very tiny island. Today, our land mass is 728 square kilometers. But do you know how big was Singapore back then in 1965 when we first became independent? Well, it was only 584 square kilometers, which means that we have added almost 25% of land to our island. Now, where does this extra land come from? Well, it is from reclamation from the sea. All right. So we find that the whole of Marine Parade, the whole of East Coast Parkway, Tuas, and also Jurong Island, and then you have the Marina Bay Area. These are all reclaimed land. So over the years, we have added a lot of land to our island. But when you reclaim land, you need sand. And Singapore, we do not have sand. So what do? We then have to import sand from our neighbors in ASEAN. But today it become a problem. Why? Because all these countries, they do not want to sell sand to us anymore. So what can we do? All right. Now this is something that is quite important. All right. So without sand, how do we reclaim land going forward? Okay. Now Singapore, we have found a way of reclaiming land, and that is to actually use the millions and millions of tons of rubbish that we collect day to day. And what we did is we then take this rubbish, all right, sent to Tuas incinerator plant where they will be incinerated and then resulting in the heat being produced for electricity. So electricity generation. Now the residue, what's left of it, we then barge it, all right, from Tuas to an island known as Pulau Semakau. And in Pulau Semakau, we have created a large landfill where we can dump all this residue from the incineration plant. So if you take a look, all right, this is actually Pulau Semakau, all right, from Tuas. Then we proceed to the island of Pulau Semakau. Now, Pulau Semakau, this way of reclaiming land is quite unique in the sense that it doesn't pollute the sea, it has got no smell. So today, if you were to visit Pulau Semakau, what you'll find in Pulau Semakau is actually a beautiful island, all right, with a lot of trees and greeneries and flowering plants. So in time to come, by 2035, when the land is filled, the whole island can be turned into some kind of a tourist attraction, a resort. And not only that, there are now plans to actually install the largest solar farm on Pulau Semakau. So this is how we overcome our land scarce problem in Singapore and how we can continue to grow, albeit a bit more difficult going forward. Now, the other existential issue that we had all along, especially from independence, is actually water. Now, Singapore is very water stressed. So right from the first day of independence, we had signed two water agreements with Malaysia. And the first one expires in 2011, and the second one will expire in 2061. Now, over the last so many years since independence, we have been working on the problem of this existential issue, how to overcome our water shortage. And today, we have actually created 4 national taps. The first being water desalination, seawater desalination. Number 2, new water, which is actually wastewater recycling. Number 3, catchment area, and that is how do we capture every single drop of rainwater. And number 4, which is then to still continue to import some water from Malaysia. But by 2061, when the last water agreement expires, we do not need to import water from Malaysia anymore. We do not have to rely on Malaysia. Now, water is such an important issue because over so many years, Malaysia has always threatened, especially under Prime Minister Mahathir. Anytime we have problems in Malaysia, he will always say, I will cut off your water supply. Now, when that happens, Singapore is prepared to go to war. All right. So that's how important water issue is. And today, do you know we have developed, especially seawater desalination, new water recycling, and water catchment area. Now, 2/3 of Singapore's land is actually devoted to water catchment area, which means that the drainage system, the canals, rivers, whatever, we capture all the rainwater and it goes into the 17 reservoirs that we have around the island. And of course, very important is the Marina Barrage. Now, the Marina Barrage is important because that is one of the biggest freshwater reservoir, and we created the Marina Barrage so that if there is actually heavy thunderstorm and there's risk of the city center being flooded, we will then open the Marina Barrage to let the water flow out. And if not, normally it will be to retain all the rainwater. So this is how Singapore overcame such a big, huge existential problem of water in Singapore. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about is actually what we call Singapore's disadvantages. Number 1, Singapore, we do not produce one drop of oil. But over the years, Singapore has today become one of the top 10 oil refineries in the world. All right. Especially after we have concentrated a lot of our petrochemical into Jurong Island. And then number 2, we do not produce any natural gas. But today, Singapore is a very important natural gas storage hub and also trading hub. And we are now even extending to the next second storage hub for liquefied natural gas. So in this way, we can actually mitigate our energy problems. Unlike a lot of other countries, especially in Europe, because of the Ukraine-Russia war, their energy prices have spiked many, many times over. So today, Singapore, we are in a way insulated. Of course, our energy prices will go up, but it will still be bearable for Singaporeans. So this is how we overcome our shortcomings and our disadvantages. Okay, if you see Singapore, after a while you realize that Singapore is actually run like a company. Many refer to Singapore as Singapore Inc., which is Singapore Incorporated. So Singapore Inc., Singapore Incorporated is run like a very efficient business unit, all right, and with profitability in mind. So Singapore, we are actually quite a good, well-run business entity. Whatever we do, we make sure that we turn from a disadvantage into an advantage. For example, I mentioned about oil refinery, liquefied natural gas. We turn it into a business, not just to supply oil and energy to our own country. And if you look at the issue of water, for example, today, Singapore is a major center for exporting water management and also water conservation, water recycling, and how to protect water resources around the world. So in a lot of countries, they're all coming to learn from Singapore how we manage our water shortage problem. So again, this is turning a disadvantage into an advantage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is important for us to continue the can-do spirit and also the never say die attitude of our pioneer generation and our Merdeka generation going forward. We must always stay ahead of the curve to be competitive and so that we can survive in a very challenging world going forward. So I hope this episode you will realize how important it is. Although Singapore was never meant to be a nation, we were never meant to succeed as a nation after independence. Nobody believed we could succeed, all right? But succeed we did, and not only we succeeded, we managed to become an economic miracle, according to a lot of people. But to do that, we must always be ever ready to take on challenges, have the can-do spirit, and never say die attitude of the pioneer generation and Merdeka generation. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope you go and collect your LKY 100 anniversary commemorative coins. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.